In the summer of 2008, Tesla Motors was 90 days away from death. The company had burned through nearly $100 million. Its first car, the Roadster, was plagued with delays, cost overruns, and engineering nightmares. The global financial crisis was tearing through Wall Street, and no investor in their right mind wanted to put money into an electric car startup run by a South African immigrant with no automotive experience. Elon Musk, the company's chairman and largest investor, was personally going broke. He had poured his entire fortune from PayPal into 3 companies, Tesla, SpaceX, and SolarCity, and all 3 were on the verge of collapse at the same time. His marriage was falling apart. The media was mocking him. Industry experts were calling him a fraud. General Motors, Ford, and Toyota had all tried to make electric cars work and failed. What made this guy think he could do it? But here is the thing about Elon Musk. The moments that would break most people are the moments that define him. What happened next was not just a business turnaround, it was the beginning of one of the most extraordinary industrial stories in American history. A story of obsession, risk, genius, controversy, and a relentless refusal to accept the way things have always been done. This is the story of how Elon Musk built Tesla into a global powerhouse. To understand Tesla, you first have to understand that Elon Musk did not actually found the company. That distinction belongs to 2 Silicon Valley engineers named Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarp. In July 2003, they incorporated Tesla Motors in Delaware, naming it after Nikola Tesla, the legendary inventor who pioneered alternating current electricity. Eberhard and Tarpenning had a bold vision. They believed that lithium-ion battery technology, the same technology powering laptops and cell phones, had finally advanced enough to make a viable electric car. Not a slow, ugly, golf cart-looking vehicle like the ones people associated with electric cars at the time, but a fast, beautiful, desirable sports car that would change the way the world thought about electric vehicles. They needed money. A lot of money. And in February 2004, they found their biggest investor. Elon Musk led the Series A funding round, putting in $6.5 million of his own money, which was the largest single investment in the round. In return, he became the chairman of the board and the controlling force behind the company. At the time, Musk was 32 years old. He had already co-founded Zip2, which sold to Compaq for $307 million, and X.com, which merged with Confinity to become PayPal, which eBay acquired for $1.5 billion. Musk walked away from the PayPal deal with roughly $180 million after taxes. Most people who make that kind of money at 31 years old buy a yacht, retire to a beach, and never take a risk again. Musk took almost every dollar and bet it on rockets and electric cars, 2 industries with nearly a 100% failure rate. From the very beginning, Musk was not a passive investor. He was involved in every major decision, from the design of the car to the engineering specifications to the business strategy. This created tension with Martin Eberhard, the original CEO, who felt that Musk was overstepping his role. That tension would eventually erupt into a bitter power struggle that ended with Eberhard being forced out of the company in 2007. Musk would later be named CEO in October 2008, right at the darkest moment in the company's history. But we will get to that. The first product Tesla set out to build was the Roadster, a 2-seat electric sports car built on a modified Lotus Elise chassis. The idea was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of trying to compete with Toyota and Honda on cheap commuter cars, Tesla would start at the top of the market, build a car so fast, so sexy, and so exciting that wealthy early adopters would line up to buy it, regardless of the fact that it was electric. The profits and lessons learned from the Roadster would then fund the development of a more affordable second car, and then a third car, and eventually a mass-market vehicle that ordinary people could buy. Musk later published this strategy openly in a blog post he called the Secret Tesla Motors Master Plan. It was hiding in plain sight, and it is exactly what happened. Building the Roadster turned out to be far more difficult than anyone anticipated. The original plan called for a car that would cost around $65,000 and be delivered to customers by 2006. Neither of those targets was met. The transmission was a catastrophic problem. Tesla wanted a 2-speed gearbox to give the car both acceleration and top speed, but no supplier could build one that could handle the instant, massive torque of an electric motor. Transmission after transmission failed during testing. The car's body, originally supposed to be a slightly modified Lotus Elise, ended up requiring so many changes that it was essentially a new vehicle sharing almost nothing with the original Lotus except a vague resemblance. Costs spiraled. The base price climbed from $65,000 to over $109,000. Delivery dates were pushed back again and again. Inside the company, the culture was chaotic. Engineers were burning out. Leadership was in turmoil. Martin Eberhard was removed as CEO in August 2007 and replaced briefly by Michael Marks and then by Ziv Drory. Eberhard later sued the company and Musk, claiming he had been unfairly pushed out and the lawsuit was eventually settled, and all 5 co-founders, Eberhard, Tarpenning, Musk, J.B. Straubel, and Ian Wright, were officially recognized as co-founders of Tesla. But the scars from that fight never fully healed. By early 2008, the situation was dire. Tesla had spent enormous sums developing the Roadster, and the car was still not ready for mass production. Then, the global financial crisis hit. Credit markets froze. Lehman Brothers collapsed. The stock market lost over 50% of its value. General Motors and Chrysler would soon file for bankruptcy. Venture capitalists and institutional investors were fleeing from risk as fast as they could. Nobody wanted to fund an unproven electric car company in the middle of the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. Musk later described this period as the worst time of his life. SpaceX had just experienced its 3rd consecutive rocket failure. His first marriage to Justine Musk ended in a painful divorce. He was running out of cash personally. He told friends that he had to choose between putting his last remaining money into Tesla or knowing that splitting it between both might mean losing both. He could save one, maybe not two. On Christmas Eve, 2008, just hours before Tesla would have had to shut its doors, Musk closed an emergency funding round. He put in the last of his personal money, borrowed from friends, and convinced existing investors to contribute what they could. The round totaled $40 million. It was barely enough to keep the lights on. Musk has said publicly that he was so broke during this period that he had to borrow money from friends to pay his rent. The man who had been worth nearly $200 million just 6 years earlier was now nearly destitute. But Tesla survived. The Roadster finally went into production, and the first cars were delivered to customers in early 2008. Despite all the problems, the car was genuinely revolutionary. It could go from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. It had a range of over 240 miles on a single charge, which was unheard of for an electric vehicle at the time. It proved, once and for all, that electric cars did not have to be slow, boring, or impractical. It changed the conversation, and it gave Tesla the credibility it needed to take the next step. If the Roadster proved that Tesla could build a great electric car, the Model S proved that Tesla could build a great car. Development of the Model S began while the Roadster was still in production, and it represented a fundamentally different challenge. This was not a niche sports car for Silicon Valley millionaires. This was a full-size luxury sedan designed to compete directly with the BMW 5 Series, the Mercedes E-Class, and the Audi A6. It needed to be practical, comfortable, safe, and capable of serving as someone's only car. In June 2010, Tesla went public on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. It was the first American car company to go public since Ford in 1956. The IPO raised $226 million and valued the company at about $1.7 billion. Skeptics called it a bubble. They said the stock was wildly overvalued for a company that had delivered fewer than 1,500 cars, but the IPO gave Tesla the capital it needed to finish developing the Model S and build out its manufacturing infrastructure. Also in 2010, Tesla acquired the Shuttered Nume factory in Fremont, California. This massive facility had previously been a joint venture between General Motors and Toyota. When GM went bankrupt, the factory closed, putting thousands of people out of work. Tesla bought it for $42 million, a fraction of what it costs to build. It was a symbolic moment. The old auto industry was dying in that building, and the new auto industry was about to be born in the same space. The Model S was unveiled to the public on June 22, 2012, and the response was immediate and overwhelming. The car was stunning. It had a massive 17-inch touchscreen that controlled nearly every function at a time when most cars still had rows of physical buttons. It could travel up to 300 miles on a single charge with the largest battery option. It had a 0 to 60 time of under 5 seconds in its fastest configuration. It had a front trunk, or frunk, because there was no engine up front. And it earned a 5-star safety rating from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in every single category, with the highest safety score the agency had ever recorded at that time. The reviews were rapturous. Motor Trend named the Model S its 2013 Car of the Year, making it the first electric vehicle ever to win the award. Consumer Reports gave it a score of 99 out of 100. Calling it the best car they had ever tested. Automobile Magazine named it their Car of the Year as well. The automotive world was stunned. Here was a company that had been in existence for less than a decade, run by a CEO with no background in the car business, producing what many experts considered the finest car in the world. But what made the Model S truly revolutionary was not just the car itself. It was the way Tesla sold and serviced it. Instead of using traditional franchise dealerships, Tesla sold directly to consumers through its own stores and website. This decision put Tesla into a legal war with dealer associations across the country, who argued that direct sales violated state franchise laws. In several states, Tesla was actually banned from selling cars. Musk fought back aggressively, arguing that the dealership model was an outdated relic that did not serve consumers' interests. The legal battles continue in some states to this day, but Tesla has largely prevailed, proving that a new model of car sales was not only possible, but preferable to many buyers. Tesla also began building out its supercharger network, a system of fast-charging stations strategically placed along highways across America. This was critical because the biggest objection to electric cars had always been range anxiety, the fear that you would run out of charge with no way to refuel. By building its own charging infrastructure, Tesla eliminated that concern for its customers. You could drive a Model S from Los Angeles to New York using nothing but superchargers along the way. No other electric car maker offered anything remotely comparable, with the Model S establishing Tesla as a legitimate automaker. Musk turned his attention to the goal that had driven the company from the very beginning: building an affordable electric car for the mass market. But Tesla needed to solve the biggest cost problem in the electric vehicle industry, which was batteries. Lithium-ion battery packs were by far the most expensive component in any electric car. To bring the price of a Tesla down to around $35,000, the cost of batteries had to fall dramatically, and the only way to achieve that was through massive scale. In September 2014, Tesla broke ground on Gigafactory 1 outside Sparks, Nevada. The name was not an exaggeration. When completed, the Gigafactory would be one of the largest buildings in the world by footprint, covering over 5.3 million square feet. Tesla partnered with Panasonic to produce battery cells at an unprecedented volume. The goal was to produce more lithium-ion batteries in a single factory than the entire world was producing combined, by driving up volume and driving down costs. Tesla aimed to achieve a 30% reduction in battery costs by 2020. It was an insanely ambitious plan, but without it, the affordable Tesla would remain a dream. On March 31, 2016, Elon Musk stood on a stage in Hawthorne, California, and unveiled the Model 3. The car was sleek, modern, and unlike anything else on the road. Its interior was radically minimalist, with almost no buttons or knobs. A single 15-inch horizontal touchscreen controlled everything. The dashboard was almost entirely bare. It looked like a car from the future, and the base price was $35,000 before federal tax incentives, which could bring the effective cost down to around $27,500. The response was unlike anything the automotive industry had ever seen. Within 24 hours, over 115,000 people had placed a $1,000 deposit to reserve a Model 3. Within a week, that number had grown to over 325,000. Within a month, it exceeded 400,000. Tesla had taken over $14 billion in implied future revenue before the car even existed. No product launch in history, in any industry, had ever generated that level of pre-orders. But delivering on those orders proved to be the most painful chapter in Tesla's entire history. Musk himself later called it production hell. The Model 3 was designed to be built on a highly automated production line, with robots doing most of the assembly work. Musk wanted to create what he called the alien dreadnought, a factory so advanced that it would move faster than any human could follow. But the automation did not work as planned. Robots jammed, broke down, and produced defective parts. The production line ground to a halt repeatedly. By the end of the first quarter of 2018, Tesla was producing only about 2,000 Model 3 South per week, far short of the 5,000 per week target that Musk had promised. Musk essentially moved into the factory. He slept on the production floor, sometimes under his desk, working 20-hour days to identify and fix bottlenecks. He later admitted that excessive automation was a mistake and that Tesla had underestimated the value of human workers. The company stripped out some of the robots and replaced them with people. They even set up an additional assembly line in a giant tent structure outside the main factory. Slowly, painfully, production ramped up. By the end of June 2018, Tesla hit the 5,000 per week milestone. By the end of the year, the Model 3 was the best-selling luxury car in America, outselling the BMW 3 Series, Mercedes C-Class, and Audi A4 combined. Not the best-selling electric luxury car, the best-selling luxury car. Full stop. It was a watershed moment. The electric car was no longer a curiosity. It was mainstream. With the Model 3 proving that Tesla could manufacture cars at scale, Musk moved to take the company global in a way that no one expected. In January 2019, Tesla broke ground on Gigafactory Shanghai, its first factory outside the United States. The speed of construction was staggering. The factory went from an empty field to producing cars in less than 12 months. The first Chinese-made Model 3 South rolled off the production line in December 2019. Industry analysts were shocked. Building a car factory typically takes 3 to 5 years. Tesla did it in under one. The Shanghai factory gave Tesla access to the largest automobile market in the world and allowed the company to avoid the import tariffs that had made its American-made cars expensive in China. In 2021, Tesla opened Gigafactory Berlin-Brandenburg in Grünheide, Germany, just outside Berlin. This was Tesla's first European manufacturing facility, and it was built to produce the Model Y, Tesla's compact crossover SUV that had quickly become the company's best-selling vehicle worldwide. The Berlin factory positioned Tesla to compete directly with European automakers on their home turf. Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes had spent decades dominating the European car market. Now an American company was building cars in Germany, the heart of the traditional automotive industry. The symbolism was impossible to miss. Also in 2021, Tesla opened Gigafactory Texas near Austin, a massive facility that would become the company's new headquarters. The Austin factory was designed to produce the Model Y for the eastern half of the United States and would eventually build Tesla's radically designed all-electric pickup truck. The Cybertruck, with its angular stainless steel body that looked like something from a science fiction movie, had generated enormous attention and controversy when it was unveiled in November 2019. By the end of 2023, Tesla had 4 operational gigafactories on 3 continents, producing well over 1.8 million vehicles per year. To put that in perspective, in 2012, Tesla produced about 3,000 cars total. In just over a decade, production had increased by more than 600 times. The company's market capitalization had grown to over $700 billion, making it the most valuable car company on Earth by a massive margin. At its peak, Tesla was worth more than Toyota, Volkswagen, Mercedes, BMW, Ford, General Motors, and Honda combined. A company that nearly went bankrupt in 2008 was now worth more than the entire rest of the auto industry put together. But this story would not be complete or honest without addressing the darker side of the Tesla saga. The company and its CEO have been surrounded by controversy at nearly every stage of the journey. In August 2018, Musk tweeted that he was considering taking Tesla private at $420 per share, and that the funding secured. The Securities and Exchange Commission sued him for securities fraud, alleging that the tweet was false and misleading. Musk settled with the SEC, agreeing to step down as chairman of the board, pay a $20 million fine, and have his tweets about Tesla reviewed by a company lawyer before posting. The incident raised serious questions about whether Musk's impulsive behavior on social media was a liability for Tesla shareholders. Quality control has been a persistent issue. Consumer Reports and other organizations have documented problems with panel gaps, paint quality, rattles, squeaks, and various hardware defects in Tesla vehicles. While the company's technology and performance have been widely praised, the build quality has often lagged behind established luxury brands. Musk has acknowledged these issues at times while dismissing them at others. Tesla's autopilot and full self-driving systems have been both the company's most exciting technology and its most controversial. Tesla has marketed these systems aggressively, with Musk repeatedly promising that full autonomous driving is just around the corner. He first said Teslas would be capable of full self-driving by 2017, a deadline that has been pushed back repeatedly. Meanwhile, there have been multiple fatal accidents involving autopilot, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has opened investigations into the system's safety. Critics argue that Tesla's marketing creates a false sense of security, encouraging drivers to pay less attention than they should. Working conditions at Tesla factories have drawn scrutiny as well. Reports of injuries, long hours, and intense pressure have surfaced over the years. The United Auto Workers Union has attempted to organize Tesla's workforce, and Musk has been vocal in his opposition to unionization. The National Labor Relations Board has ruled that Tesla violated labor laws in some instances. And then there is the Musk factor itself. No CEO in modern history has been as personally intertwined with a company's brand as Elon Musk is with Tesla. His fans see him as a visionary genius who is single-handedly accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. His critics see him as an erratic, egotistical figure whose behavior on social media and in public often undermines his own companies. After his acquisition of Twitter in late 2022 and its rebranding to X, Musk's political statements and online behavior became increasingly polarizing. Some Tesla owners reported feeling uncomfortable driving a car so closely associated with a figure who had become politically divisive. Surveys showed that Tesla's brand favorability declined significantly among certain demographics. Despite all of this, the numbers tell an undeniable story. Tesla went from 0 cars to nearly 2 million cars per year. It went from a startup that could not make payroll to the most valuable automaker in history. It forced every major car company on Earth to invest billions of dollars in electric vehicle development. Without Tesla, it is fair to say that the global transition to electric vehicles would be years, perhaps decades, behind where it is today. When you step back and look at the full arc of the Tesla story, what stands out most is not the technology, the stock price, or the factory output. What stands out is the sheer improbability of it all. The last American car company to succeed before Tesla was founded over 100 years ago. The automotive industry is the graveyard of ambition. Hundreds of car companies have been launched in America, and almost all of them have failed. The barriers to entry, the capital requirements, the supply chain complexity, the regulatory hurdles, the dealer networks, the sheer scale required to compete, all of it is designed to prevent exactly what Tesla did. And yet, here we are. Tesla did not just survive. It went from a garage-level startup with a borrowed sports car chassis to a global industrial giant with factories on 3 continents, a charging network spanning the world, and a brand that became synonymous with the future of transportation. It rewrote the rules of what a car company could be, what a car could be, and what the future of energy and mobility might look like. Whether you love Elon Musk or cannot stand him, whether you think Tesla is the greatest company of the 21st century or the most overhyped stock in market history, one thing is beyond debate. Tesla changed the game. It proved that electric vehicles were not only viable but desirable. It proved that a startup could take on the most entrenched industry on Earth and win. And it proved that one person's refusal to accept the impossible can sometimes reshape the world. The question now is not whether Tesla changed the automotive industry. It already did. The question is, what comes next? And if history is any guide, whatever Elon Musk does next, it will be anything but boring.